All right, so today we're going to take a look at the Warlock changes. I have a Warlock in both of the campaigns that I'm running, so it's probably a good idea to familiarize ourselves with that next. I know they have an increase in Eldritch Invocations. Looks like they get a lot more spell slots, too. I forget what the old Warlock got to go up to in spell slot. Oh, I guess they got to go all the way up to 4 as well. They capped out at 8 invocations, and 2024 has 10, so not super high, but spells known 15. Paired spells is the same, about the same there. All right.
Hello, motherfucker.
Hello, Hall. Welcome in, welcome in. All right, so Magical Cunning is the first big one, which basically allows you to regain expended Pact Magic spell slots, but no more than a number equal to half of your maximum rounded up. So basically, at most, you're getting 2 back even at level 20 for just a minute's worth of downtime. So a lot of the classes have basically got back some form of arcane tradition, which used to be just pretty exclusive to wizards. Although of note, this only takes a minute, so you don't even need that short rest. Ability score, you got your contact patron. This is fine. I guess there probably should be something in there like this. I know that there's a lot of, when you have a more narratively focused game, I think a lot of DMs will allow their warlocks some way to communicate with their patron by actually giving them a feature sort of geared towards that, which you always have the contact other plane spell prepared, and you can cast it without expending a spell slot to contact your patron once per long rest, and you automatically succeed on the saving throw. So now you have a way to at least once a day talk to your patron, which I think is pretty big, because I'm sure there are a lot of DMs out there, depending on how that relationship, that story between the warlock and the patron looks, maybe don't allow them to contact or to talk with them very often. Now it's written right into the rules. How? Okay, so it is still limited, though. It's not just like a conversation you're having. You get to ask 5 questions, and each question is answered with 1 word. Yes, no, maybe, never, irrelevant, or unclear. But if a 1-word answer would be misleading, the DM might instead offer a short phrase as an answer. So basically, your contact patron feature is like asking your patron to shake their magic 8-ball. Got your Mystic Arcanum, your Epic Boon, and when you get high enough level and become an Eldritch Master, you can use your Magical Cunning feature to regain all of your expended Pact Magic slots, which basically kind of means that you have 8 spells a day now. The Eldritch Pod Blast coming in with a raid. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in, welcome in. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Go ahead and give a shout out to the Eldritch Pod Blast. There we go. Thank you very much. What's going on? How you guys doing? You know, we were just talking about y'all the other day, and, you know, now that our Jinx Warlock subclass is out, I know that, I think that Callie has been in contact with you about that. Maybe, maybe not. If not, it might be happening soon. But we're looking at doing a little team up. So, you know, keep an eye on your emails. She has excellent. Good. We actually have, you know what, since you're all here, I have a little surprise I can show you. I have a little surprise.
Very demure, very mindful.
The D&D Vince. I always get weird or feel weird surprised when people play blurps that I don't recognize. All right, hold on. I got something that I can share with everybody as a little bit of a sneak peek. Didn't realize it was about the Jinx Warlock, which makes us yes. We I think out of all the classes that we have completed here so far, if we were to get y'all to do a special sort of look at one of the classes, yeah, it would definitely be the Jinx. I don't know if this is in the little care package link that I sent y'all or not. If it isn't, I'll make sure to add it later tonight. But we are looking to release our Green Knight Druid hopefully this weekend. This is a martial-focused druid that is more about like controlling the battlefield than being like a straight up like, oh, all my damage comes from like smack and stuff. Like obviously like they're geared towards being up in the front lines with the rogues, the fighters, the paladins and stuff like that. But basically, like, all the stuff that they do, they have ways to, like, restrain things, pull things back towards them, make attacks in tandem with them. And the other sort of cool feature they have is they can summon a force of nature, which, could be a wolf with antlers. It could be a shambling mound. It could be like a groff, completely up to you how you want to potentially flavor it. But then that can also help you out on the battlefield, serve as a mount, stuff like that. And their capstone, which is my favorite one, called Ever-Blooming Spirit, is if you are outright killed for any reason or you fail 3 death saving throws, if you die and your force of nature is still up, your force of nature instead dies, splits open, and you are reborn out of it once per long rest. But yes, this is the Circle of the Green Knight, and that will be going up on our Patreon, if not today, tomorrow or Sunday. And then I think we also just wrapped up writing for the Warrior of the Streets Monk, the Creation Domain Cleric, and I'm still working on finishing some spells for our School of Cosmic Magic. So we are very, very, very close to having all of our subclasses done for the book that we're putting out, hopefully in November. But yes, thank you so much for the raid, Eldritch Pod Blast. It is always a pleasure to have you and your people coming through here. So thank you very, very much. And for those of you who haven't already, for some reason, followed Eldritch Pod Blast, make sure that you go over and do that sooner rather than later. Dolvik, if you want to give him another shout-out, if it'll let you, I don't know if there'll be a cooldown on it or what. But we are currently going through the changes to Warlock in the 2024 Player's Handbook, of which my copy showed up last night after midnight of all times, weirdly. So yeah, not a whole lot has changed as far as the actual base class features have. But once again, for some reason, they don't have... Oh, here we go. Here are the Eldritch Invocation options. So, Agonizing Blast, easy enough. The cool thing about all of the... what were previously Eldritch stuff... Mag's going to play a God Warlock in our next campaign. A Goo Warlock! I'm like, what's a God Warlock? A Goo Warlock? Is that a homebrewed subclass, or just the way that you're theming something? What kind of subclass can we do around goo? Oh, a great old what? See, now I'm thinking. Here's what I'm thinking. Okay. What if Slimer from Ghostbusters was a patron? Do we want me to put that on the books? I'll do it. Hold on, I'm doing it now. To-do list. Subclass idea. The Slimer. It's happening. It's happening, and when it does, I think that the people deserve a one-shot where somebody on Eldritch Pod Blast plays as the Slimer Warlock. Make it some kind of shape-shifting or possessing Warlock. Ooh, I like both of those ideas, yeah. Actually, you know what? That's actually a great idea. We should do like a team-up stream sometime.
Slimer as a patron, yes, please.
We should definitely get, like, someone from one of our 2 streams to be the DM. Everybody else is a player, and use a bunch. Have you guys done any like homebrew like classes or subclasses yourself? Because if we could do like a subclass swap and do like a one shot where we like play each other's subclasses, that could be really cool and fun. And thank you, Shepherd Sunbear, for the 300 bits. It is on my to-do list now. It's happening. I don't know exactly what that is going to look like, but we are definitely going to make a goo-adjacent, goo-related, goo-powered Warlock in some way. Well, if you do, we could definitely do that, or we can just provide all the subclasses too. I just think it would be really, really fun to be able to play with the 2 of you, and I'm sure that fiercely typing into notes, and I'm sure that Callie would also be more than happy. So I'll talk to them about it when I have a chance, and we'll reach out and figure something out. We'll figure out something for sure. But yes, once again, thank you so much for stopping in with your people. It is always a pleasure. All right, so we have the Agonizing Blast invocation, which again, the cool thing about this is that now you can use this with any cantrip. So you no longer have to make a Warlock that is just an Eldritch Blaster. Now you can be a Chill Toucher, too, if you want to. Armor of Shadows, Mage Armor. Like, I understand having these sort of smaller, simpler invocations where it's just like, hey, you can cast this. Thank you, Abby, for the follow. Appreciate it. And yes, Eldritch Pod Blast, I understand. Go to bed, have dinner if you haven't had dinner or anything like that. Do whatever you need to do to take care of yourself for that post-stream care. No, so Dolvik, prior to this, let's take Agonizing Blast, for example. If you take Agonizing Blast as a 2014 Druid, then when you use Eldritch Blast, you can add your Charisma modifier to that spell's damage roll. Now, when you choose Agonizing Blast, you pick one of your cantrips that you know. So, for example, Chill Touch. Or let's take my Bard Warlock, for example. I could do... Actually, maybe I couldn't do Vicious Mockery because it says a Warlock cantrip that deals damage. Firebolt, right? The cantrip that you choose benefits from it. So essentially now, instead of all Warlocks having Eldritch Blast as their signature cantrip, when you learn the spell, because you have to choose a Warlock cantrip. If it was that you could just do any of your cantrips, then it would just say your cantrips deal additional damage. So basically, this means that as a Warlock, you can now decide what you want your signature cantrip to be and build stuff around that. So it's not every Warlock is just always casting Eldritch Blast now. Now they could be casting all sorts of different stuff. And yes, and you can gain this invocation more than once. Each time you do so, choose a different eligible cantrip. So with these, like, I get it. Obviously, as a Warlock, you don't want to waste one of your 2 or 3 spell slips casting Mage Armor. So, like, I get these, but I also personally feel like these are, like, the more boring ones. I like it when they change the way you play in a way that's more interesting than just like, oh, here's that free spell. And honestly, I feel like they could probably even give you, the free spell, kind of depending on what it is, and allowing some sort of, like, additional effect after that. In fact, what would be really cool is when they have things like this, right? You can cast Mage Armor yourself without expanding a spell slot. If it gave you another, either passive effect or, sort of change the way that you play in some way, you get that effect. That effect is active unless you cast the spell associated with it. Then the effect stops for the day because you kind of, like, used the magic of that invocation to, like, cast the spell. Then when you finish a long rest, you get it back. But that's an old one. Ascendant Step, Levitate on yourself, fine. Devil Sight, that's a pretty normal one as well. That's from last time. This is a big one. This is a big one right here because Hexblade isn't part of the new 2024 rules, but this is a really, really big one for people because you can still build the Hexblade. It's just not the subclass. So Devouring Blade, the extra attack of your Thirsting Blade invocation confers 2 extra attacks rather than 1. So now, as a level 12 Warlock, you can get 3 attacks per turn, and depending on what weapon you're using, you could maybe get a 4th as well if you're 2-weapon fighting. Yeah, that's the problem, Dolvik, with ones like this is it's more so being able to give yourself certain spells that don't feel as impactful when you have to waste a spell slot on it. I mean, the fact that it lasts 8 hours, I would basically, whenever you wake up, you just tell your DM, I cast Mage Armor on myself. Like, just assume you always have it up, basically. So yeah, Devouring Blade, really cool. Eldritch Mind gives you advantage on Constitution saving throws that you make to maintain concentration. I'm not really sure why you would take that when you could take Warcaster and get a +1 con with it as well. Like, you could be like, oh, well, maybe you don't want to waste a feat on Warcaster, but, like, why would you waste a invocation on, a Warcaster -2? All right, hold on. Let's bring up Warcaster here real quick. Make sure I'm not talking out my ass about it. Because, like, Warcaster, 2 words, comes with a lot of good benefits. We'll take a look at the new one. So you get to increase your intelligence, wisdom, and charisma score by 1. So, if your spellcasting ability isn't at max, that's already a great way to be able to do it. You have advantage in Constitution saving throws, maintaining concentration. When a creature provokes an opportunity attack from you by leaving your reach, you can now react to cast a spell rather than making an opportunity attack. And what's great about reactive spell, it doesn't have to be a cantrip. It can be any spell. That is crazy good. And then you can perform somatic components of spells even when you have weapons or shields in one or both hands. Like, here's the thing. I don't feel like there are so many amazing, overpowered feats in the game as a caster that you're gonna get that you're gonna be like, oh, I don't have enough feats to do all the stuff that I want. If you're a caster, you should have Warcaster. So, like, True, Dolvik. True. You can change out your invocation. So I suppose you could take this early on if you don't yet have Warcaster. So I guess it's fine. I feel like you could have done something cooler with Eldritch Mind. Eldritch Smite. You could smite stuff. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with your packed weapon, you can expend a packed magic spell slot to deal an extra 1d8 force damage to the target, plus 1d8 per level of the slot. Interesting. They did not change. They did not give the same changes to Eldritch Smite that they did to Divine Smite. You can only do it once per turn. Was the old one like that? Did the old one say once per turn? Yeah, okay, the old one was also once per turn. Okay, so they were cognizant enough to limit the Warlock, who only has 2 to 4 spell slots, but not the Paladin. Okay. Eldritch Spear, this is another one. Your cantrips. When you cast that spell, its range increases by a number of feet equal to 30 times your level. Fiendish Vigor, you can cast False Life on yourself without expending a spell slot. When you cast the spell with this feature, you don't roll the die. You automatically get the highest number on the die. How does the using a higher level spell slot work in this case when you don't expend a spell slot? Is it still just like what your level spell slot is, I assume? Yes, I believe that is new. False Life. No. Fiendish Vigor. Yeah. Before it was just... Yeah, and before it also specified as a first level spell. That's so dumb. That's so dumb. Like, why would you take an invocation that's going to give you 5 to 8 temporary hit points? Nah. So yeah, the fact that they took out that as a first level spell, also the way that I read it as a DM, is that whatever your... Ooh, and they upped False Life to 2d4
fell off the
plus
fucking
4.
map, dude.
Hey,
What is
what's
up,
going
my
on,
dude?
Capelli? Welcome in. So now the way that I would have it work, which I think actually makes this wait. No, hold on. Fiendish. Wow, False Life's actually really good right now. Cast False Life on yourself without expending a spell slot. When you cast a spell with this feature, you don't roll die. You automatically gain the highest number die. It doesn't say that you can only do it one time. I guess the old one was technically that way as well. So you can basically just cast False Life on yourself at will, so long as you're going to use an action to do so. And let's see, at 5th level, you gain 5 temporary hit points for each spell slot above level 1. So you're basically gaining 2d4 plus 4 plus up to 20... No, sorry. Plus up to 20 additional hit points if you have level 5 spell slots. It's pretty good. I mean... Yeah, I guess technically before you could still do that, you were just getting 5 to 8 for an action. That's kind of crazy. That's actually pretty good now if you don't mind wasting the action to do so. So like if you're just running away from something and people are still shooting at you, you can just hit False Life on yourself every turn and give up your dash action. Yeah, that's right, and it's maximum, so you're getting the full stuff in there. 32 temp HP on demand for a Warlock with 5th level spells. That's kind of crazy. Gaze of 2 Minds. Bonus action, touch a willing creature. Perceive through its senses until the end of your turn. Okay, yep, I think that's the same. Gift of the Depths. Can breathe underwater. Yeah, see, like Gift of the Depths, it says you regain the ability to cast it in this way again when you finish a long rest. So Fiendish Vigor not having it is either a really big oversight or they intend you to basically just keep on casting on yourself over and over and over again. Gift of the Protectors. New page appears in your Book of Shadows. With your permission, a creature can take an action to write its name on that page, which can contain a number of names equal to your Charisma modifier. When any creature whose name is on the page is reduced to 0 hit points but not killed outright, the creature magically drops to 1 hit point instead. Once this magic is triggered, no creature can benefit from it until you finish a long rest. So basically, they're giving you... what is that? What is that spell that protects you from Death Ward? So level 9 Warlocks with Pact of the Tome basically get a Death Ward. It's like a... it's a reverse Death Note. Charisma mod is a buff. Kind of. It's a buff in that you get more uses early on, but late game, it's technically a nerf since proficiency goes up to 6, unless you can get your Charisma to 22. Investment of the Chainmaster. When you cast Find Familiar, you can infuse the summoned animal with a measure of your Eldritch power, granting it a fly speed or a swim speed of 40 feet. If you summon something that can swim or fly, it's going to have that anyway. As a bonus action, you can command the familiar to take the attack action. Y'all know how I feel about requiring your actions to make something else take an action. Whenever it deals damage, it's necrotic or radiant instead. If the familiar forces the creature to make a saving throw, it uses your spell save DC. Well, hold on. Can't you already cast spells through your familiar, in which case it would use your spell save DC? When you cast a spell with a range of touch, your familiar can deliver the touch. Your familiar must be within 100 feet of you, and it must take a reaction to deliver the touch when you cast a spell. So I'm not really sure what giving your familiar your spell save DC... It uses it already? Hold on. Yeah, and when you're making a familiar, you can still just look at, like, regular stuff that can't really do anything. All right, let's wait till we get to Pact of the Chain. Maybe Pact of the Chain is giving them, like, a souped-up familiar in some way. And when the familiar takes damage, you can take a reaction to grant it resistance. Oh, also, it gets all of these things, not just one or the other, right? Granting the creature the following benefits. Okay, so that's cool that it gets all of these. So if you choose something that has a fly speed, now it also, basically whatever you choose will have both a fly and a swim speed. That makes more sense. Lessons of the first one, you have received knowledge from an elder entity of the multiverse, allowing you to gain 1 origin feat of your choice. That's probably pretty good. Life Drinker. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with your packed weapon, you deal an extra 1d6 necrotic, psychic, or radiant damage, your choice, to the creature. That's really nice, being able to choose it when you hit something and not just picking one and having to keep it. You can expend 1 of your hit dice to roll it and regain a number of hit points equal to the roll plus your con modifier. I think before, wasn't Life Drinker that you had to kill something to get it? Oh, no. Before, it was just necrotic damage equal to your charisma modifier. So now it's 1d6. You get to choose between necrotic, psychic, or radiant. And if you want to, you can expend a hit dice to heal yourself a little bit. That's pretty good. Mask of Many Faces is the same. Alter Self, Silent Image. With the shadows, when you're in an area of dim or light darkness, cast invisibility without expending a spell slot. We should probably give that one to Hermia because, you know, she's been using her spell slots to do that. When she casts invisibility on herself, she's been using her spell slots. And it's usually just when people are looking at her and she's embarrassed. She will waste a whole ass spell slot to cast invisibility on herself, but nobody else. And she's casting at a higher level, too. So I think I need to make sure that we have that for Hermia, because I feel like that's right up her alley. Cast Jump on yourself without expending a spell slot. All right, here's our packs. Pact of the Blade. As a bonus action, you can conjure a packed weapon in your hand, simple or martial weapon of your choice with which you bond. You are proficient with that weapon, and you can use it as spellcasting focus. Whenever you attack with the weapon, you can use your charisma modifier for the attack and damage rolls instead of strength or dex. And you can use the weapon to deal necrotic, psychic, or radiant damage, or its normal type. So you can basically just decide as you do it what kind of damage you want to do. Interesting, very good. That's pretty crazy. Necrotic, psychic, and radiant are all really great damage types. You bond with your weapon ends if you use this feature's bonus action again. If the weapon is more than 5 feet from you for 1 minute, or if you die. Oh, hold on. Your bond with weapons ends if the weapon is more than 5 feet away from you for 1 minute or more. As a bonus action, you can conjure a packed weapon in your hand. A simple or martial melee weapon of your choice with which you bond, or create a bond with a magic weapon you touch. You can't bond with a magic weapon if someone else is attuned to it or another warlock is bonded with it until the bond ends, blah, 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 blah. Okay. Okay. I think I understand. So this is kind of a little bit of a nerf to warlocks, I think. Let me go back up and read the old Pact of the Blade really quick. Pact Boon. All right, so the old Pact Boon, 2014. You use your action to create a packed weapon in your empty hand. You can choose the form that this melee weapon takes each time you create it. You are proficient with it while you wield it. The weapon counts, blah, 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 blah. You can transform one magic weapon into your packed weapon by performing a special ritual while you hold the weapon. You perform the ritual over the course of 1 hour, which can be done during a short rest. You can then dismiss the weapon, shunting it into an extra-dimensional space, and it appears wherever you create your packed weapon thereafter. All right. So, there's the change to Hexblade, which seems silly. I'm not really sure why they did this, especially if you can just always summon one anyway. So, you can always just use a bonus action to conjure a weapon in your hand, right? And you're proficient with it. And it works as a regular weapon that you can attack and deal necrotic, psychic, radiant, or whatever, right? However, if you bond to a magic weapon that you find, like an actual physical in the real world weapon, not one that you just conjured into your hand, but one you find and you bond to it, making it your packed weapon, you can no longer summon that to you. That's still something that somebody could like pick up and yeet off a cliff. And then if you don't get it back within a minute, you're no longer bonded to it. So they can technically take your magic weapons away from you. You will always still have the choice to summon a packed weapon, right? It's just a completely summoned, conjured one. But they can take away your magic weapon now. Which, yeah, I would love to know what the reasoning behind that was. Because I guess it puts a little bit more power in the DM's hands if you want to get, like, a powerful weapon away from them. But, like, they can still make their weapon, right? You can't completely disarm them. As a bonus action, they can always just make a regular conjured packed weapon in their hand. And I feel like being able to, like, summon your bonded weapon back to you is, like a cool thing, right? I feel like that change is just like a weirdly overly specific thing, right? Because now if someone just like knocks you out and takes your weapon from you, when you wake up, you're not bonded to it anymore, so now you gotta like track it down. I mean, so that's kind of what I was thinking, was like, well, that means that Hexblades always have an advantage in those moments where they have to hand over their weapons, but this doesn't break that, Dolvik, because you can still... Here's the difference. Here's the two key differences to this, right? First of all, you have the fact that, hey, I found this cool weapon. I'm going to bond to it. This is my packed weapon. But as a bonus action, you can conjure a packed weapon in your hand, a simple or martial melee weapon of your choice with which you bond. That isn't the weapon you pick up, right? Pact of the Blade isn't just go find a blade to bond with. Pact of the Blade means you can summon a blade whenever you want / need to, or create a bond with a magic weapon you touch. So even if they take your magic weapon and break your bond, you still have a weapon because you can summon a generic pact weapon. Yeah. So, while putting this in here is, I think, a neat way to give DMs in Raw a way to maybe separate a Warlock from their blade for, let's say, narrative purposes. I also feel like if you're adhering strictly to Raw, it could get needlessly complicated, such as moments like if the guard asks you for your weapon because they have to store it somewhere, right? I guess if they really wanted to keep this in there, I would probably have it say more like, if you are unconscious and away from your weapon for X amount of times, you know, then it happens. Because, like, for example, if you die, so if you are unconscious for X amount of minutes and away from your weapon, then the bond breaks. But honestly, I don't even know that you really needed to change it, because the idea of being able to put your sword into a pocket dimension is just really fucking cool. Pact of the Chain. You learn the Find Familiar spell. You cast as a magic action without expending a spell slot. When you cast the spell, choose one of the normal forms for your familiar, or one of the following special forms. Imp, Pseudo-Dragon, Quasit, Skeleton, Slod, Tadpole, Sphinx of Wonder, Sprite, or Venomous Snake. Alright, I want to take a look at these. Do these actually come with, like, their own abilities and stuff now? They do. They're only challenge rating 1, but they have actual attacks now. The Imp has Sting, can change shape, invisibility on itself. Pseudo-Dragon also has a Sting. Okay, so that's why you would want to give your familiar your save DC, is now they all have things that would normally have their own save DC. So this is cool. I like this. This actually makes, like, because for me, I always used Find Familiar as more just like a character role-playing thing than anything else. Like, it was cool to just have, like, this little pet, and you could, like, use it for scouting and stuff, but beyond that, not much else. So I like that they are now giving you actual sort of useful things that to potentially use in combats in some way. Yes, a Slod Tadpole. It can't do a whole lot. The fuck? The Slod Tadpole has 30 feet of movement? A tiny little tadpole can move 30 feet per round. Can you infect someone with this? Hold on, we gotta look up a slod now. How long does transformation take? Well, no, I guess technically it is a spirit that takes the form of a slod tadpole. So you probably shouldn't let your players infect things with their slod tadpole. Oh, we can't even check the 2024 Monster Manual because it's not out yet. Hold on, I want to see how long it takes someone to transform into a slod. While infected, the target can't regain hit points, and its hit point maximum is reduced by 10 every 24 hours. If the disease reduces the target's hit point maximum to 0, the target instantly transforms into a red slod. They're releasing it in waves, Dolvik. The DMG releases in November, and then the Monster Manual releases in late 2025. Well, so here's what I'm thinking. This was where my head was going, right? Because nowhere on the slod... Where did it go? Nowhere on the slod tadpole does it say that you can infect stuff, right? It just has magic resistance, and it has a bite to do 1d4 plus 2 damage. My thinking was, could a Warlock who uses the slod tadpole put the tadpole into someone so that they turn into a slod? If it fits the narrative, I would allow it. However, I don't think rules as written facilitate it, because Find Familiar says you gain the service of a familiar, a spirit that takes an animal form you choose. Though it has the statistics of the chosen form, it is a celestial, fae, or fiend instead of a beast. So you aren't making an actual slod tadpole. You are summoning a fae, fiend, or celestial spirit that is taking on the form of a slod tadpole. But would I let you put the slod tadpole into someone and then kill them so they turn into a slod? Maybe. Sphinx of Wonder. Ooh, that looks cool. Sphinx or another creature within 30 feet makes an ability check or saving throw. The Sphinx adds 2 to the roll. 2 per day. That is really, really cool. I really like this. A little Sprite, Needle Sword, Enchanting Bow, Heart Sight. There's a lot of good stuff on some of these. And Venomous Snake. Some much better than others. So that's Pact of the Chain. Additionally, when you take the attack action, you can forego one of your own attacks to allow your familiar to make one attack of its own with its reaction. That's stupid. Especially if you have to use its reaction anyway. Let people use an action or bonus action to command whatever their pet is, and then that's it. That's it. I should just be able to say, as a ranger, hey, beast, attack that thing. And then it just attacks until it's dead, or I tell it to do something different. It's so dumb to think about that in practice, that in an epic fantasy battle, the ranger, the warlock, the summoner, etc., 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 every 6 seconds after their thing attacks has to say, keep going. You got it. Keep attacking it. Yep, keep on going. Go ahead. It's dumb. Pact of the Tome. Station the other strands of shadow, you conjure a book at the end of a short or long rest. Contains eldritch magic. When the book appears, choose 3 cantrips. Choose one or choose 2 level 1 spells that have the ritual tag. That part is new. Spells can be from any class's spell list. They must be spells you don't already have prepared. While the book is in your person, you have the chosen spells prepared. Repelling Blast pushes something back. You can use it on any cantrip. Thirsting Blade. You gain an extra attack feature for your packed weapon only. With that feature, you can attack twice with the weapon. Cast Arcane Eye without expending a spell slot. Speak with Dead without expending a spell slot. And Witch Sight gives you True Sight to a range of 30 feet. So what did they lose? Because that's definitely not all of the things. So Aspect of the Moon is no longer in there, which is kind of lame. I wonder if we can homebrew in some invocations, because there's a lot of these that they did not transfer over, and I don't really understand why. Yep, that's Aspect of the Moon. Beast Speech is no longer there. Beguiling Influence is no longer there. Bewitching Whispers is gone. When someone else is wearing your talisman, you can use your action. That's gone. Book of Ancient Secrets gone. Change of Carceri gone. Cloak of Flies gone. Dreadful Word gone. Eldritch Sight gone? Yep. Eyes of the Runekeeper gone. Far Scribe gone. This was a cool one, too, being able to cast Sending unlimitedly to people who are in your book. Ghostly Gaze gone. Gift of the Everliving One's gone. Gift of the Protector's gone. Grasp of Hadar gone. Improved Packed Weapon gone. This, they still have Investment of Chainmaster, Lance of Lethargy. Actually, I think Lance of Lethargy gone? Yep. Maddening Hex gone. Minions of Chaos gone. Mire of the Mind gone. Misty Visions, I think they still have that. One with the Shadows gone. Yeah, there's just tons of stuff gone. Whoops. Yeah, so and here's my issue with that is they should have just made them into what they are now, where you can use them with any cantrip, right? But I also think that it's kind of lame that they don't make those, like, even if they came from like Tasha's and stuff like that, I'm pretty sure there's a lot of those you cannot choose on a 2024 Warlock. Like, they just don't show up in the invocation thing, which is really dumb and silly. All right. So now we're getting into the spell slots. Or not spell slots, subclasses. All right, so Archfey has changed a lot. I think this is one of the ones that they said is like a completely new subclass, essentially. So Archfey, spell slots, Calm Emotions, Fairy Fire, Misty Step, Phantasmal Force, and Sleep. That's a lot more third-level spells. They usually just get 2 spells per level. Blink, Plant Growth, Dominate Beast, Great Invisibility, Dominate Person, Seeming. All right. So it used to be Fey Presence, which, starting at first level, as an action, you cause each creature within a 10-foot cube originating from you to make a Wisdom saving throw or be charmed or frightened until the end of your next turn. Then you get to use that. You get to use that again after you finish a short or long rest. It's okay, I guess. The fact that it only lasts till the end of your next turn, you basically get to, like, if you can hit them with the frightened condition, cool. They have disadvantage on their checks and they can't move towards you. Charming someone for 1 turn and you've already used your action to do it is super lame. Now they get Steps of the Fae. Your patron grants you the ability to move between the boundaries of planes. You can cast Misty Step without expending a spell slot a number of times equal to your Charisma modifier. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. That's cool. In addition, whenever you cast the spell, choose one of the following additional effects. Immediately after you teleport, you or one creature you can see within 10 feet of yourself gains 1d10 temporary hit points. Cool. Creatures within 5 feet of the space you left must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or have disadvantage on attack rolls against creatures other than you until the start of your next turn. Those are both cool. I really like that. So my Bard, Tragedy of Bard is a Archfey Warlock as well. I took 2 levels. I think I have 3 levels now in Archfey. I only did it for the Eldritch Blast, just to have some sort of like really good offensive spell. So Fey Presence, stupid. Steps of the Fey, really freaking cool. I really wish that I had that. And then you can continue, not that they ever will, but you can continue to add cool like effects like this. Oh, it looks like they do up here. But yeah, you can add all sorts of like cool effects to Steps of the Fey. It's a really easy thing to like homebrew onto as well. Misty Escape, the old version, when you take damage, you use your reaction to turn invisible and teleport 60 feet away. Use it once per short or long rest. You can cast Misty Step as a reaction in response to taking damage. In addition, the following effects are now among your Steps of the Fey options. You have the invisible condition until the start of your next turn, or immediately after you make an attack roll, deal damage, or cast a spell. Wait, hold on. You have the invisible condition until the start of your next turn, or until immediate... Oh, right. Okay. So the disappearing step basically makes this what it was before, except 30 feet instead of 60. Creatures within 5 feet of the space you left or the space you appear in must succeed on a wisdom saving throw or take 2d10 psychic damage. I would also put the fear on there. Give it that fear effect, too. You either leave or you appear, they take damage, maybe they get frightened. Beguiling defenses... You're immune to being charmed, and when another creature attempts to charm you, you can use your reaction to attempt to turn the charm back on the creature, which lasts for 1 minute or until they take damage. So you're immune to the charm condition. Immediately after a creature that you can see hits you with an attack roll, you can take a reaction to reduce the damage you take by half. And then force the attacker to make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, they take psychic damage equal to the damage you take. Once you use this reaction, you can't use it again to finish a long rest unless you expend a packed magic spell slot. Yeah, okay, that's good. That's probably fine. I was going to say, this seems really dumb because, like, attacks don't really deal that much damage. But depending on what you're being attacked with, they might. So that's cool. And then you get it back if you are willing to spend a spell slot to get it back, which requires no action to do so, which means if somebody let's say someone attacks you and you use this, right? On your next turn, they hit you with a critical hit. You can say, I spend a packed magic spell slot to get beguiling defenses back. And then I use my reaction to cast Beguiling Defenses, and you would cut that in half and then deal half that damage back to them if they fail to save. And then finally, Bewitching Magic. Your patron grants you the ability to weave your magic with teleportation immediately after you cast an enchantment or illusion spell using an action and a spell slot. You can Misty Step as part of the same action without expending a spell slot. That is really cool. I really like... the Archfey patron is really cool and very thematic and flavorful now. That's really awesome. Welcome back to anybody who had that ad. All right, the Celestial Patron. I'm not familiar with the Legacy Celestial Patron, so let's take a look through it really quick. You learn the Light and Sacred Flame cantrips. You gain the ability to channel celestial energy to heal wounds. You have a pool of D6s that you spend to fuel this healing. Number of dice in the pool is equal to 1 plus your Warlock level. As a bonus action, you heal 1 creature you can see, spending dice from the pool. The maximum number of dice you can spend at once equals your Charisma modifier. Minimum of 1. Roll the dice you spend, add them together, and restore the number of hit points. Pool. That's actually not bad. Like for a 2014 subclass, the fact that you can spend up to 5d6. Obviously, it's not going to seem super great at low levels, you know, when you only have like 3 dice. But being able to spend up to 5d6 as a bonus action heal at range, that's not bad. 6th level, you have resistance to radiant damage. When you cast a spell that deals radiant or fire, you add your Charisma modifier to 1 radiant. Lame. You gain temporary hit points whenever you finish a short or long rest. These hit points equal your Warlock level plus your Charisma modifier. Additionally, choose up to 5 creatures you can see at the end of the rest. Those creatures gain temporary hit points equal to half your Warlock level plus your Charisma modifier. It's fine, I guess. When you have to make a death saving throw at the start of your turn, you can instead spring back to your feet with a burst of radiant energy. You regain hit points equal to half your hit point maximum. And then you stand up if you so choose. Each creature of your choice that's within 30 feet of you takes radiant damage and is blinded. All right. Healing Light for the new Warlock. D6s. 1 plus your Warlock level, so same thing. Bonus action, heal yourself or 1 creature within 60 feet of you. Maximum number of Charisma. All right, so nothing has changed in Healing Light. Nothing's changed in Radiant Soul. You gain temporary hit points whenever you use your Magical Cunning feature or finish a short or long rest. Temporary hit points equal... Okay, so that's no different except it works on when you use Magical Cunning as well. All right, so they've changed Searing Vengeance to include you or an ally within 60 feet of you. Magical Cunning is the Warlock's version of Arcane Restoration or Arcane Arcane Restoration. Basically, they can spend 1 minute and regain half of their spell slots rounded up. Arcane Recovery, that's what it's called. Thank you, Heart Slot. So, nothing's changed a whole lot about Celestial Patron. They added the Magical Cunning feature into Celestial Radiance, and they made it so Searing Vengeance can target an ally. Here is my gripe about some of the subclasses in the 2024 Player's Handbook. Some of these you didn't touch, right? Like, I can't technically claim you didn't touch this because you added a few extra things in there, right? But there have definitely been some. There was a Ranger subclass that was just a copy-paste job. That's it. And here's my question. If you were just going to copy and paste it, why'd you choose that one? Why not choose one of the ones that legitimately needed a rework, like the Archfey Patron? Right? Or better yet, if there were some that you thought as this is fine, it doesn't need a rework, why not include those so that there's more than 4? Like 4 is a decent number. But if you were just going to copy and paste it, put it in there anyway. So that it's in the 2024 version and we can use it easily on these classes. I think what I would add to this, it's fine, I guess. I would allow them to increase their D6s to D8s at some point. I'd make Celestial Radiance. Swap Celestial Radiance and Radiant Soul around. And then give Radiant Soul a D8 on their healing dice. And allow them to also add on, instead of your Charisma modifier. No, you know what? I'd actually, because adding your Charisma modifier is fucking, 5 damage. 5 extra damage. Let them add their Charisma modifier, but then also choose once per round to add on a D8 more damage using their healing pool if they want to, right? And then with Radiant Soul, I would also allow them to recover half of their healing dice when they use Magical Cunning. The Fiend Patron. Alright, Fiend had Dark One's Blessing, where you gain temporary hit points when you reduce a creature to 0. When you make an ability check or saving throw, you can use this feature to add a d10 to your roll. And you can choose a damage type. When you finish a short or long rest, gain resistance to it, which is ignored by magical or silvered weapons. Lame. And when you hit a creature with an attack, you can hurl them through hell into the lower planes. And they take 10d10 psychic damage. The new Fiend Patron. When you reduce an enemy to 0 hit points, you gain temporary hit points equal to your Charisma modifier plus your Warlock level. You also gain this benefit if someone else reduces an enemy within 10 feet of you to 0 hit points. Not really sure why the 10 feet rule. That means you got to be pretty close. I'd like if you feel like it needs to be there, I'd up it to 30 feet. Got your Fiend spells. You can call on your Fiendish Patron to alter your fate in your favor. When you make an ability check or saving throw, use this feature to add a d10 to your roll. You can do so after seeing the roll, but before any of the roll's effects occur. Use this feature a number of times equal to your Charisma modifier. That's nice. You can use it more than once. You regain all expended uses when you finish a long rest. Yeah, you basically have 5 uses a day. That's fine. Choose one damage type other than force. Whenever you finish a short or long rest, you have resistance to that damage type until you choose a different one with this feature. Y'all know how I feel about passive things. An enhanced lucky. Yeah, you know, it kind of is. Because, like, with luck, you could always just roll really terribly again. Dark One's own luck at least guarantees you're going to get a higher roll because you're adding up to 10 to it. How would I change Fiendish Resilience to make it a bit more active? You have resistance to that damage type until you choose a different one with this feature. Additionally, you can choose to have vulnerability to that damage type and infuse one of your attacks or spells to deal that damage instead and deal additional damage. So basically, it's like I'm protected from fire damage, but I can, like, focus that protection into my spells to deal more damage, but now I'm not protected, and I actually will take more damage if something hits me with fire in the meantime. Hurl through hell. So you throw them through hell. They make a Charisma saving throw. Take 8d10 psychic damage and is incapacitated. And you need a long rest or to expend a packed magic slot to restore your use for it. All right, that's fine. So yeah, Fiendish Resilience is a little lame, but otherwise it's fine. Hasn't been changed a whole lot from the original. The Great Old One Patron. Awakened Mind. Form a telepathic connection between you and the mind of another. Telepathically communicate with each other. lasts for a number of minutes equal to your Warlock level, ends early if you use this feature. Okay, so at least you can use it to connect to... There's no, like, cooldown on it. It's like a long rest or a long rest thing. So you can basically telepathically communicate with people. Cool, like that. Is that what the old one's like? The Great Old One. Nope, so yeah, the old one you could basically use and always be within 30 feet of them. When you cast a Warlock spell that deals damage, you can change its damage type to Psychic. In addition, when you cast a Warlock spell that is an enchantment or illusion, you can do so without verbal or somatic components. That part is new then. Clairvoyant Combatant. When you form a telepathic bond with a creature using Awakened Mind, you can force that creature to make a Wisdom saving throw against your spell save DC, and on a failed spell, it has disadvantage on attack rolls against you, and you have advantage on attack rolls against that creature for the duration of the bond. Once you use this feature, you can't use it again to finish a short or long rest or expand Pact Magic. Okay, that's really cool. So... now that there's no longer a Hexblade, I might have to actually talk to Katie again, because she might actually, because she is a Hexblade right now, because you can still use the 2024 classes and choose the old ones, but some of these might actually work better as a Hexblade. Like Clairvoyant Combatant, being able to always have something has disadvantage against you, you have advantage against it. For how long? Number of minutes equal to your Warlock level. Yup, that's pretty good. And it's only a bonus action to do. Nice, nice, nice. Eldritch Hex. Your alien patron grants you a powerful curse. You always have the Hex spell prepared. When you cast Hex and choose an ability, the target also has disadvantage on saving throws. The thing that everybody thinks that Hex does, but it doesn't actually. Place a curse on a creature that you can see within range. Until it ends, you deal an extra 1d6 necrotic damage to the target whenever you hit it with an attack roll. Also choose one ability when you cast the spell. The target has disadvantage on ability checks made with it. And you can move it when it's reduced to 0 hit points. And now disadvantage on saving throws as well. That is huge. On a saving roll or an attack roll against your patron, can choose to give you temporary resistance to the incoming damage. Roll a d20 at below 10. What's that for, Lloyd? Thought Shield. Your thoughts can't be read by telepathy or by other means unless you allow it. You also have resistance to psychic damage, and whenever a creature deals psychic damage to you, the creature takes the same amount of damage that you take. That's big. Yeah, Great Old One is much, much better. Oh, gotcha. Well, because Hex lasts for 1 hour, and then if you cast at a higher level, it can last for up to 24 hours. So depending on what's happening in a battle, or maybe if it's not even a battle, like by making it affect ability checks, it has more than just combat potential. Like, if you were trying to, let's say you were, like, tracking someone down or, like, chasing someone down, you could put Hex on them and choose, you know, strength or dexterity, so now they have disadvantage on athletics or acrobatics checks. I have to wonder if maybe they thought that giving it disadvantage on saving throws as well, that's super, super strong. So, as a first level spell, no way. Like, that's a lot. Because even this, like, they haven't changed the Hex spell. This is just if you're a Great Old One, does it give disadvantage on saving throws? And even to that, you don't get it until level... Oops, hold on. Great old one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do they all have 6? 4. Warlock subclass. Subclass feature. Subclass feature. Subclass feature. Okay, and this is the problem with them not putting levels in here. The Great Old One gets 1, 2... Unless Psychic Spells is part of the Great Old One spells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They get 6 things. I don't know what level these are supposed to be if they get them at 4 different levels. I wonder if it's different in the player's handbook. Hold on a sec. Okay. I wonder if that's just has something to do with the fact that it's only in like pre-order status on like early look on D&D Beyond, but in the book it actually tells you what level you get it at. So, taking a look at the Great Old One, you get Eldritch Hex and Thought Shield at level 10. So, you can only put disadvantage using Hex if you're a level 10 Great Old One. But yeah, that's really, really good. Thought Shield's really, really good. Create Thrall. When you cast Summon Aberration, you can modify it so it doesn't require concentration. If you do so, the spell's duration becomes 1 minute instead of an hour. And when summoned, the aberration has a number of temporary hit points equal to your Warlock level plus your Charisma modifier. In addition, the first time each turn, the aberration hits a creature under the effect of your Hex. The aberration deals extra psychic damage to the target equal to the bonus damage of that spell. So 1d6. All right, so Great Old One, very cool. Fiend Patron, all right. Celestial Patron, all right. Archfey Patron, very, very cool. I think that probably... Actually, so Archfey would be really, really, really cool for a Hexblade build. Great Old One would be amazing for it because of Clairvoyant, Combatant, and Eldritch Hex. And Create Thrall. The Fiend Patron is also probably really good since you have to be within 10 feet, you know, to be able to do stuff.
Hello, motherfucker.
Hello, Dark Flux. Obviously, this is great for, like, anyone, although it's only for ability checks and saving throws, so not attack rolls. Celestial would obviously be fine as well. I like that kind of all of these can sort of work for any of, like, the packs. But, yeah. Overall, except for the loss in a bunch of invocations for the Warlock, I think a lot of these changes are really, really cool. And if they would just let us add the old ones in the character creator to the invocations, I think that would basically make up for it. So overall, very nice. Very good.